Hi there, and hi there, and a very good morning, and to all of you, depending on wherever you're watching me. So this simply stocks, and today I'm going to talk about Asian Paints. What is ailing the company? What has gone wrong with the company? And why the stock has not been performing at all uh, over the last year or so? What has the management said? And why I think that it is a big opportunity to buy for someone who's looking to invest from a minimum 3 years to a maximum 10, 15, 20 years time frame. This is the best time to invest into the stock. Let's get things going, and I will discuss everything one by one. So the disclaimers do apply that this is not a stock recommendation, and any stock that I give to you, you have to do your own analysis and then take a call on it. And so I'm not in favor or against any company that I talk about. And this is a stock that I'm invested in. So that's a disclaimer that this is a stock Asian Paints that I'm investing. I'm putting in money for my child's education, for my children's education from a 15-20 year time frame. I believe that it is still going to give you 18-20% CAGR over this period if you keep on allocating more money into the stock. So I'll discuss everything with respect to Asian Paints. Let's get things started. And also, I want to say that before I talk about Asian Paints, a small request that kindly support me on Patreon. And once you do that, it will help me grow a channel, help you also ask me questions and eke out answers in greater detail. Once you get the $10 membership, you'll have access to my portfolio, my watch list, and a number of podcasts that I put up from time to time. So these are the links for the uh, for linking through Patreon or YouTube or emailing me. And if you got get if you want WhatsApp membership, you need to email me and you get a 1 year WhatsApp membership as well, in which I give short term, long term calls, and you can discuss with me on stocks one on one with messages. You can send me any number of messages as you want with respect to the stocks that you're holding. And if you want a detailed analysis on your portfolio, etc., you need to email me separately, and there could be a dedicated team working on your portfolio as well. So coming back to the point of Asian Paints, the stock has been falling. So let's understand as to why I have put up with this heading, that what has been ailing Asian Paints. So normally, what has happened over the course of the last many years. So let's take out a 10-year chart, and then I'll take out further from that. So if you take out a 10-year chart on the stock, is that in February of 2013, in where the market was around 6,000, the Nifty was around 6,000, the stock was at 454. From 454, and we have taken into splits and bonuses, the stock went all the way to 33, 3400, 3400 or so in January of 22. So this was a full, you can say, 10-year period. In a 10-year period, the stock went up by, let's say, if I say around 3400 or so, then the stock has gone up by somewhere around 8 times over 10 years. That's a huge performance if you take into CAGR terms. So that's a big. So in that sense, the stock had to, probably technically speaking, take a breather, and that's what it has taken. Over the last year or so, the stock is down. So basically, from around 33, 3400, the stock is now trading at around 2700 or so. So the stock is down around 20% in the last 1 year. And if you look at a 3 year period, if you look at this phase, which was around January 21, the stock was around 2844, and just at the start of January, the stock was around 2700 or so, and the stock is around 2770. The stock was around 2770 in January of 21. So whole of 21 has gone through, and it has been 14 months of absolutely no returns in the stock, which is very unheard of if you take a 5, 7, 8, 10 year time horizon. And that is where the concern lies for most of the retail investors who are invested into the stock from a very long term point of view. What has ailed the stock over the last 1 year has been the numbers. So if I come to the numbers part and the valuations, so first let's discuss about the last 4 quarter numbers. So let's discuss from December of 21 and how till December of 22 how things have panned out. Now you might remember that in December of 2021, this was a period when we were coming out of you can say pandemic in earnest. So if you see here, from Jan 2020 onwards, things were looking good. So let me just sorry, June 2020 onwards, things were looking good. And let's go back to December 19. From December 19, things dipped sharply in the first pandemic, you can say, wave. From 5,400 crores, we went to something like 2,900 crores of sales. It dipped sharply. But as things waned off with the pandemic in the first wave, things started picking up for Asian Paints. September 2020, till I think June of 21 and December 21. So between this period, the sales went up from 5,300 crores or thereabout all the way to 8,500 crores. So that is a jump of nearly 60% or more than that, in fact. So uh, if I calculate that, that is a jump of around 60% exactly. So it is a jump of 60%. Sales went up by 60% over a period of around 15 months. In 15 months, sales went up by 60%. Let me have a look as to how the performance was in that period for the stock. So this was around, so September numbers would have come out by November. So I think around October, November of 21, how was the stock doing? So this was around September 25th, 2020. So around that period, it was around 1900. And you see the performance. You see the performance till you can say, as I said, September 21 when the numbers were about to come out. And this was around this period, the stock went to 3450 exactly. It outlined the performance of the you can say the numbers that the company was producing. 3500 on the stock, 3450, 3460 on the stock by end of September 21, from the period as I mentioned, when the stock was around somewhere around you can say uh, in this period of around 2000 or so or 1900. So huge jump of around 60-70%, as has been a jump in the sales numbers for the stock. And that is why I say that over a 2-3 year period, the stock resembles how the performance of the company remains, and that is what exactly you're seeing with Asian Paints. Now what happened after that is pretty interesting, is that numbers started to wane off, and it did not remain as if year on year there was say 25-30% growth on the sales front. So in March of 2022 they had 7900 crores of sales versus 6600 crores in March of 21. So this was a jump of around less than 20%, around 20%, not 25-30%. And in June also, I mean, they tried to do it from June 22 that they perform, but last 3 quarters have been not that great, and that is where the problem has lied. So 18% margin in June of 2022, 15% margin in September 2022, and now 19% margin, but sales have dropped, and sales have dropped sharply. So in December 22 they did 8600 crores of sales, roughly 8650, versus say in December of 21 of 8520. So only a sales growth of around 1.5% it has now come down to. So what went wrong in this period actually? That is what we need to understand, and whether this performance is as bad as it seems. I'll answer that query as well, because people may understand that okay, the sales growth has been only 1%, 2%, but there are other things that we need to look at. So what has ailed the performance from December 21 till now over this 5 quarters? That is exactly what I'm going to discuss here. This is where the problem has lied. 8550 is only 8640 in the last 1 year. It has not gone to which was expected. So if I say 8530 was the sales here, at least they should have done an 18% growth on it. And so it should have been somewhere around 10,000 crores or 10,100 crores. That would have been the way Asian Paints would have worked out, but it is not to be. And so we need to discuss as to what are the issues, what has gone on that meant that the numbers have not been great. So I'm going with what the management has said, and I have written some points here in my cell phone. So I will discuss that one by one as to why the performance have not been that great. So let me go through that performance factor, or that factor, as to why you can say things have not been that great. So, why Asian Paints have not done well over the last 4 5 quarters? Here are the factors. The number one factor that the you can say the researchers are finding out, and the management has said, is that the rural base, or the people in the rural areas have shifted to the lower price points kind of products, and not looking at the premium products that much as they were looking at earlier times. And things are looking better as we go along, but it's not there at the moment. So we are looking at other brands, they are looking at other brands even. That is what I am feeling. That has not been mentioned, but what I feel is that other brands are creeping in there, and that is where their numbers have dipped. The second has been the monsoon season. So in October, the monsoon season has extended from September all the way to say mid October or so, and that's why it hampered the sales altogether. So if you look at the December quarter, numbers have not been that great, particularly because the September monsoon that goes through July to September has extended into October. Another reason here is that Diwali this time around was slightly earlier, so the sales of you can say that could have taken place in say the December quarter took place in September, and there were more discounts in September or so. So there was a shift that most of the sales that came through in the you can say the second quarter, and that is why you see an inflated number. If you see in the September quarter of around 84 8500 crores, otherwise the numbers would have been even lesser than that. And so September they had more sales for the festive season than what used to happen in October. So that is another reason. So there were two three reasons particularly that was mentioned in here. And then there was a high base last year. So if you look at last year in 2021, because of people coming out of pandemic, there was more you can say demand for painting, etc. in this you can say the festive demand was big. There was pent up demand in December 2021, and this time around the base, since the base in December 21 was larger, so we see year on year optically the growth not being there uh, uh, much. Plus the raw material costs were higher, which is waning down at the moment, and the management believes that from March quarter onwards, margin could either remain same or go up by another percentage point to around 20% because of raw material cost softening. So these were primarily the reasons, 4 5 reasons as to why even I believe that the numbers have not been that great. Now, what we need to look for here are the fact that whether this margin will remain around 18-19%, or can it improve to 22-23%. So if we go back to year on year performance and we looked at the chart between February 2013 uh, till now, you look at profitability from March 2013 till now. So from around 1655 crores, and I'm taking profit before tax. We can take profit after tax as well, from 1160 crores net profit. Over this 10-year period, we have done exceedingly well. So actually, eventually in March 21, we had profits of 3200 crores from 1160 crores. That is a near 3x jump, 2.7, 2.8x jump on profitability. What that means is that the stock had to go up the way it has gone up 7 8x, because you include the premierity or the premium nature of the stock, and the way in premium the stock trades and the valuations were at that point of time compared to today. So the stock had to go up the way it has gone up. If you look at the 10-year chart, from around 400 rupees or so, 450 rupees or so, all the way to 3400 rupees or so. So that was primarily the reason. We need to understand as to think whether things will stabilize here or not. So what the management has said is that the margins could remain in the range of 17 to 20%. 20% is the higher side of the margin, 17% is on the lower side, is what we are looking at. And after Capex, so there's a Capex that they have announced that they'll go through in the next 2 3 years. So from FY25, FY26 onwards, our numbers could be totally different, because there is a huge 9,000 crore Capex that the company has announced in the paints, and you can say even in the home and decor business, in the home business, which is not doing that well. So another point in here is that the home business or the home decor business could end up doing something like 10% of their sales. It's very minuscule at the moment, 1 or 2%, but from FY26 onwards, which is just about 3 years down the line, they are expecting 8 to 10% sales coming from the home business, and all this furnishing business and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things that are going on. I believe Asian Paints at these valuations look pretty good, pretty decent. Why I believe that, I'll discuss about the valuations in a bit. But if you look at their balance sheet, it looks like that they have taken debt. But considering the kind of cash on books, 1800 crores of debt is particularly is just working capital debt. If you look at the reserves, how they have increased over the last 5 years, even from around 7500 crores, or if you look at from in the last 6 years or so, from March 2016 till March 2022, from 6400 crores to 13,700 crores, is more than doubled over this period. The reserves have doubled. The borrowings have not been that huge, and that is where you can say they are putting in the capex of 9,000 crores through, you can say, internal accrual, and very little debt that they have taken, which is pretty decent. If you look at the shareholding pattern, there's a small dip with FIIs reducing half a percentage point, but DII is increasing their holding, and public shareholding remains the same. And even in public shareholding, if you look at, there are, you can say, retail private, one private player that is in there, and there are different other people that are in there, and not just retail investors. So 5% you can take out. It's only 15% public shareholding out of this 20%. If you see, 4.9% is with the player. So only 15% is with the public shares. Strong hands hold the stock. I believe the stock could perform exceedingly well. How well will this depends on how long can you hold on. The lull could remain for a quarter or so, 3 months or so, but not more than that. Why I say that, if you come to the PE ratio and their average PE and how they have performed, and although margins have dipped by 200 basis points or so, that is what the management is saying. Over, you can say, a 5 year period, the PE on an average has remained around 75. The PE has remained around 75. Currently, the stock is trading at a PE of 69.70. So it is already at a discount on a 5-year valuation basis at this price point. So around 27,2800 looks very attractive. If you look back, then around you can say April of 2019, it had a PE of 67.68, and just about a couple of days back it was trading at a PE of 68. So that is how the valuations have become attractive over this period. If you believe in the India growth story, if you believe in the infrastructure story of India, especially domestic, especially retail infra and real estate story, Asian Paints is something that is going to gain a lot over this period. Yes, other players are doing much better than what they were doing earlier. Yes, there is more competition that has come in, and that is probably eating into the margins, and the management is not quite, you can say, recognizing. Probably they are recognizing, but they are not saying it. But overall, I still believe with the 9,000 crore capex that Asian Paints is going to do, it's going to augur well into other spaces, into other businesses that they are going to go into. So what I believe could be the performance is, even if we take 18% CAGR, which has been their performance with respect to profitability over the last 20, 30, 40 years, we can see in FY22, uh, they did an EPS of around 31.6 rupees. In FY23, they are expected to do an EPS of around 38.8 rupees. So if I calculate the last 3 quarters EPS here. Let me just come down to what FY23 EPS could be. And this is the most important part that everybody looks for as to how the valuations would stack up. So if we calculate the last 3 quarters of EPS, then it turns out to be around 29.94. Even if I believe that in the last quarter they're going to do a 10%, say a 5 6% jump on this, although they'll do better, but say on 8.9 rupees EPS, that is in the March quarter, they're going to do say a 9.6 or something of that sort on top of this. So 29.94 plus 9.66 or something of that sort. 39.6 is what I expect the EPS for this quarter. I believe around 80 rupees EPS in 4 years' time. If you take an 18% CAGR, we all know that number double after 4 years. So I think 80 rupees of EPS after 4 years, that is in FY27, we are going to see at least 80 rupees of EPS, and that is a very, you can say, conservative target that I'm taking. If we take a PE, that could increase from the current PE of 70, because its highest PE, barring this in the pandemic time, we take this out. We don't take this, but if we take a PE of 105 and around 65, then your average PE comes out to be somewhere around 85. So let's see it trades at 85 times and comes out with 80 rupees of EPS. We are looking at 6,800 on the stock in the next 4 years. And at these levels, that is why this is looking extremely good. Around 2,800. If we are looking at somewhere around 6,800, 63, 6,500 from levels of 2,800, we are looking at 2 to 2.4x return on the stock from these levels. Exactly what the numbers with respect to on the bottom line tells us. So I won't be surprised if the stock is beyond 65, 6,800 in 4 years time. That's a very decent return on this stock. Safe return, I would say, in a stock with highest management pedigree and call. So if there is an infrastructure push, if there is a real estate push, then the stock will do even better. So in my opinion, it is a buy at these levels. It could go, and the downside is probably 5 7% from here maximum. So I think the downside is probably 2,600, 2,630, something of that sort. But I think the upside could be huge if you have a 4 year time horizon on the stock. And these stocks like Asian Paints, Pidilite, TCS, Titan, DMart, etc., you cannot have a 6 to 8 month time horizon and think of making money. Here you need to these are mature businesses. You need to invest over a 4 5 year period to make big money, because one of those years could be so big that the stock doubles in that year, and it consolidates the other 3 4 years. So that is my opinion. It's a buy at these levels. And on dips, again a disclaimer, I hold the stock from a long term point of view, so kindly take that on note. So this was a video on Asian Paints, a detailed analysis, and this was a query on Patreon from a Patreon member. I'll keep on taking Patreon queries with respect to a stock, and there are a number of stocks that are lined up already when I put up that facility on Patreon. So you become a member there, put up a query, and I'll have a detailed discussion on YouTube about it. Wait for the next stock next week, and I'll come up with that. Thanks for watching. The link of everything in here is in the description. You can go to the Patreon website, become a member there, or you can become a member on YouTube, or on WhatsApp. You need to email me, and you can become a yearly member there as well. Thanks a lot for watching.